named Frederick Nagar from 1755 to 1845. With its rich history and heritage, it stands today as the most established city of the Hooghly district.
During the 18th century, many evil practices such as sati, child marriage, caste system, discrimination of lepers, untouchability, and low status of women were on the high. However, the dawn of the 19th century marked the arrival of three BMS missionaries, William Carey, Joshua Marshman, and William Ward, famously called the Serampore Trio, to Serampore, who tried to put an end to all these evil practices with the power of the Holy Spirit, with the great motto, expect great things from God, attempt great things for God.
Carey landed in India on 11th November 1793 along with John Thomas, a former surgeon of the British East India Company, to fulfill the will of God to the fringes. He came from a humble family. He was an apprentice in the local cobbler shop and did not receive high education. He enthusiastically took up his faith in God and the challenges he faced as his daily routine. His generosity and simplicity soon influenced the indigenous people of Calcutta, and he made a good acceptance among the society with his lifestyle. This largely paved the way for the spreading of good news, even though he and his family sunk into poverty.
As a foreigner, he and his family struggled a lot with the new lifestyle, food, and the new spiritual atmosphere. When his friend Thomas deserted the enterprise, Carey was forced to move his family repeatedly in Sundarbans to Mudnabati, then to Kidarpur, as he sought employment that could sustain them. Illness racked the family, and loneliness and regret set in. In his book, I Am in a Strange Land, he wrote, "No Christian friend, a large family, and nothing to supply their wants." But he also retained hope by saying, "Well, I have God, and His word is sure."
In 1794, a year after his landing, Carey contracted malaria and his 5-year-old Peter died of dysentery. This became too much for his wife Dorothy, whose mental health deteriorated rapidly. She suffered delusions, accusing Carey of adultery and threatening him with a knife. She eventually had to be confined to a room and physically restrained. But Carey did not deviate from his goal. In his book, "This is indeed the valley of shadow of death to me," Carey characteristically added, "But I rejoice that I am here notwithstanding, and God is here."
Carey devoted most of his time to study languages like Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. In 1797, he completed the draft of Bengali New Testament by hiring a Pandit who helped him learn the native Bengali language.
In 1799, Carey was joined by William Ward, a printer, and 2 teachers, Joshua and Hannah Marshman. Mission finances increased considerably as Ward began securing government printing contracts. The Marshmans opened schools for children, and Carey began teaching at Fort William College in Calcutta. The Danish governor of Serampore, Lieutenant Ole Bay, gladly welcomed them in the Danish settlement.
We're inside the historic church in Serampore town called St. Olaf's Church. The construction of this building was initiated by the Danish governor Ole P. in the year 1800 AD. After the construction was started, it was completed in the year 1806 and it was dedicated to the church.
In 1800, Carey moved to a mission house in Serampore, and 2 months later, he published his first Bengali New Testament. With this and subsequent editions, Carey and his colleagues laid the foundation for the study of modern Bengali. Over the next 28 years, he and his Pandits translated the entire Bible into India's major languages such as Bengali, Oriya, Marathi, Hindi, Assamese and Sanskrit, and parts of 209 other languages and dialects. Of missionary labor, Carey baptized his first convert, Krishnapal. The fruits of their labor extended even up to the northeastern India. Krishnapal went to Manipur and proclaimed the gospel and spread the love of Jesus. Those who believed there went to Bihar and preached the gospel and transformed the lives of people.
Same year, the printing press and boarding schools were established by the Serampur mission. Ward, being expert in printing, and the Marshmans, being educationists, served this purpose. The Marshmans operated 2 boarding schools for English children and 1 non-fee school for Indian children. The school's income helped the Serampur mission financially. Hannah established the first girls' school in Serampur, which received much public approval.
The first Bengali New Testament was printed at the Serampur Press in 1801, which stood first among the Bibles being printed as a whole or in part in 40 different languages or dialects by the Serampur mission during Carey's time. He also continued to work as a teacher at Fort William College, where he taught Bengali, Sanskrit, and Hindi. He considered this as God's provision to promote the missionary work. Even though there is no proven fact, there is a saying that Carey spent 60% of his income for ministry and 40% for the basic needs of the 3 missionary families staying together in the mission house.
In 1812, a catastrophic fire broke out and destroyed a great deal of the translation works, including copies of scriptures and valuable manuscripts. Even then, Carey and his colleagues never gave up, but changed the stumbling block as the stepping stone.
The year 1818 witnessed the fulfillment of Carey's dreams with the establishment of Serampur College. He started and built the college for few students with the vision of the present. The original Serampur College was known as Aldrin House, a house owned by Reverend David Aldrin, presbyter of the Calcutta Fort William. It was in this house that the Serampur missionaries gathered together and conceived the idea of a college. Before the completion of the present college in 1822, all classes were conducted at the Aldrin House.
Besides educational enterprises, the Serampur trio had numerous contributions to society. They stopped infanticide, promoted the idea of saving money in banks for the poor, began the publication of the first Bengali newspaper, Samachar Darpan, and also a monthly English magazine called The Friend of India, which today continues to be published under the name The Statesman. The year 1829 marked the liberation of Indian women from the practice of sati, which characterized the throwing of the living wife into the funeral fires. For this, Carey worked closely with Raja Ram Mohan Roy, which finally led to its abolition by the then Viceroy, Lord William Bentinck.
The Arts, Science and Commerce Department of the college was affiliated with the University of Calcutta, which was established in 1857. The ASC department operates with the government grants. On the other hand, the theology department also draws teachers and students from all over the nation and neighboring countries. It is a residential college of ministerial formation.
The libraries of both ASC and theology departments are vast collection of precious and unique collection of books with the legacy of Carey, because they were the pioneer to publishing of certain periodicals. Carey published a large number of grammatical and lexicographical works in Sanskrit, Bengali, and in other Asian languages.
Carey had a strong natural taste for botanical and agricultural pursuits. His own botanical garden in about 5 acres of land had the richest varieties of plants. Besides, Carey was very instrumental in establishing the Agricultural Society of Bengal in 1820. Presently, the Carey Library and Research Center preserves some collection of Carey's botanical hobbies.
Whilst the missionary movement of the 19th century that he inspired, missionaries like Adoniram Judson, Hudson Taylor, and even David Livingstone were among thousands of others that were impressed and inspired by Carey's example.
William Carey himself took the initiative to build the Carey House. It was built on 1823 and he lived there until his death. Carey House is India, which offers courses for both religious and secular studies, is undoubtedly one of the most important heritages for higher education in India today. It is for everyone from all backgrounds. What started off with 37 students has now more than 3,500 students both in theology and ASC streams. And this historic college continues to play a significant role of providing theological and secular education for thousands of students, molding the young generations for nation's future and maintaining church relationship throughout the country and worldwide.